everyone. Well, hopefully this is coming through okay. I'm having some technical difficulties, so if you can't see me or hear me or I'm upside down, sorry about that. But my name is Linda Larson Schlitz, and I've just really been struggling with hearing about people in the news. I read another article again today about somebody who had gotten caught up in an addiction, and it wreaked havoc on their lives at work, at home, and next thing you know, they're in the paper. And I'm a professional myself. When I first started drinking back in 1976 and quit using drugs, I was part of that generation, you know, the sex, drug, and rock and roll thing. And at that time, I was a waitress. You know, everybody was doing it. We were in the midst of that era. So it was nothing uncommon, I guess, for people to be involved in that. And not everybody becomes a drug addict or an alcoholic. It's not that the substance may not be the problem, but what you do with the substance is the problem. But I quit drinking, and that's a whole nother story in 1976, how that came about. I'm going to share more of that at my seminar on the 22nd. But right now, move the camera down, can't see the bottom of your face. There we go. Is that better? Thanks, Margie. Hopefully, not that you need to see the bottom of my face, but hopefully that'll work. Is that working better? Okay. So my struggle didn't come until years and years later. And I had quit drinking and using drugs, and in 1985, well, Jesus turned water into wine. I was real active in the church and wasn't drinking because of that, because I thought it was a sin to drink and it wouldn't be good. Well, I started drinking, and lo and behold, first night I ended up finishing the whole bottle, and it just was off to the races for the next 10 years. So that's been my battle. It wasn't a battle, but as a professional, by this time I was in graduate school, getting my degree in counseling, working. All my friends were professionals, and we had a good time together. But I wasn't one of those people. I wasn't in jail. I hadn't been picked up for drunk driving. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't abused my kids. I wasn't homeless. I, in my own mind, as a lot of people do, have a definition of what an alcoholic or a drug addict or someone who's got a substance abuse problem, and I did not fit into that category in my own mind. So I didn't do anything about it because it wasn't causing me problems. So why should I bother, getting help when it wasn't causing me problems at work? I was a parent, and my daughter had never seen me drunk, and so why would I even need to bother with getting help? Well, one thing after another happened, and I started to drink more and more. It wasn't just a glass of wine or a beer after work. I was drinking a couple beers and maybe 2-3 glasses of wine, and I went from buying the bottle of wine to the box of wine. I'm kind of a cheapskate anyway, but it just made more sense to me. And then I started to realize that, gosh, when I'd go out for that fish fry on Friday night with my friends, and we'd have a pitcher of Miller Lite, my drug of choice at that time, along with the white Grenache or the white Zinfandel, I couldn't leave unless the pitcher was empty, because, it's financially irresponsible not to drink the whole pitcher. How can you leave alcohol in glass? It just didn't make sense to me. So I started to see these signs. Okay, I'm a counselor. This is what counselors do. They start to look at signs. I have the checklists of what people who have substance abuse problems start to have. And then, nobody was really questioning me on my use. People were questioning me because I thought I had a problem, because the majority of my circle of people, family and friends, they were what some of us call functional drunks. They could drink and have that cause them all kinds of problems. Well, because it wasn't causing me problems, I didn't see it as a problem. I just knew it was growing. And when I started to see myself drinking when people didn't know I was drinking, maybe before I would go out and drink, before we'd go out for dinner with my friends, I would slam a couple, and nobody knew that I was drinking more than what they saw me drink. So then they wondered, gee, why is she getting so tipsy when she is not drinking that much? Well, I was drinking more. Okay, so the other thing that complicated all that is that I'm a Christian. I was involved in church. I was doing things, and Christians don't have these problems. It's not that the Christians don't drink, or that it's not that it's wrong for Christians to drink. I don't have a problem with that, but I have an allergy to alcohol. I drink and I get drunk. Not always, but I never know when that day is going to come when I can't shut it off, and I end up in la la land, not knowing what I'm doing and doing things really embarrassing, which really became the last straw for me. So I'm a counselor, and I'm working with people, and I'm working with people in the church, and people know me, and I'm very involved in the community. And one of my clients actually, we were talking about alcohol, and that I didn't think there was anything wrong with alcohol, but you just couldn't drink too much of it. You just couldn't get drunk. But I wasn't defining my own use, and I wasn't even looking at why I was drinking to begin with. Why did I drink? Why did I need to take that risk? And I had to I had to look honestly at myself, and I had to answer, because I didn't like living. I didn't like the feeling of life. I didn't like not fitting in. I didn't like admitting that it had more control of me than I had of it. I was a professional. I was smarter than that. I wasn't going to be one of those people. So I continued to be in denial until I got drunk on vacation one time, and I called a client when I was drunk one night. How insane is that? And the client told another counselor, and the counselor said, okay, listen, before we go to the ethics board, something needs to change here. And that was my last drink. That was the last time. I never ended up in major trouble. I didn't do anything with this client. I didn't, it was wrong. It was way wrong. But nevertheless, I was out of line and I was out of control. So that's how I came to my understanding. It was the same client that had told me that Alcoholics Anonymous was the best place for a lot of people who were having problems in the church, or who didn't dare go to their church and talk about it because nobody judged you at Alcoholics Anonymous. So I went in part to make sure this was a safe place for my clients to be. And what I found is that there were no dirtball scumbags, was my previous definition. There were coworkers and colleagues and people just like me that were there all the time. And it really gave me the hope. It gave me hope that, okay, I'm not alone in this, and it's okay for me to reach out for help. Here's why I am doing what I'm doing now professionally. I retired from Ranlin Homes, which was the nonprofit organization my husband and I and some other folks started a number of years ago. 20 years ago almost. I retired from the job center and corporate work 5 years ago, and now I am working out of my home doing counseling and coaching. And I'm doing it online. I'm doing it in the privacy of my home because as a counselor, every place I go, every other counseling agency that I go to, I run into my clients. I was running into my clients, either my students from when I was a school counselor, or my customers when I worked at 2510, or my people that I worked with from Ranlin Homes, or the probation people from probation and parole. I was running into people all the time I didn't want to be running into. And there's nothing shameful about that, but it just is difficult for a lot of people. And so they just don't go get help. So doing it in this format, it gives people privacy. They can do it online. They can do it on a video chat like this. You don't even have to leave your house. You can do it on the phone. You can text. You can email. However you feel like you need to break the ice to get the help, that's what I'm doing now. And because professionals are having such a difficult time, I decided to do a webinar, well, I'm going to do it on a webinar as well, but I'm going to do a live event on the 22nd of August here in Wausau, Wisconsin, but I am going to do it virtually as well. So if people are watching this from other places and you can't get to Wausau, I'm gonna live feed it as well. Hopefully the technology will work. But I want people to understand why professionals don't go get help, and I want to give people the tools and the techniques and the different and the hope that there is help out there, and you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to get to the point where now you're on the news because you got arrested for drunk driving, or you passed out in your car and somebody called the cops because they were concerned and they found you with your drug paraphernalia in there, or somebody else's medication. There's just been some awful things, careers that have gone down the tubes in our own community in this last year because people didn't reach out for help before it was too late. So if you're watching this and you know someone, or you are someone who is in need of help, please have them call me. I'm doing a free webinar or a free meeting where I'll talk to you for 45 minutes, an hour, and we'll sort through whether or not I might be able to help you, or you think I might be able to help you. But you can go right on my website, Linda Larson Schlitz, just like it says on my name here, LindaLarsonSchlitz.com. You can go up to the coaching tab there. Well, it explains it on my website, and you can sign up to get an hour with me personally, and we can talk on the phone, or we can meet in person, or we can do a video chat like this. And there's also all the information on how to sign up for my event on the 22nd of August. So I really appreciate those of you who are watching. Thank you for tuning in, and please pass the word. This is an epidemic throughout the nation. I've been looking at some studies, and medical staff, 10%, 1 out of every 10 medical staff have some major issues here with substance abuse, alcohol, drug dependency. It's especially difficult for nurses and doctors who have pain issues because it's so accessible to them. Some studies show that firemen, up to 50% have a substance abuse. Alcohol, especially in Wisconsin, tends to be something that is used and overused for stress-related things, relaxation, pain. So those can be some real difficult things. And lots of other professions where stress is a huge problem, and alcohol and drugs are that quick fix, self-medication thing that ends up in a bad long-term solution. So I hope you'll tune in and you'll pass the word, and we can get some people some help. That's my goal. And again, thank you for watching. This is Linda Larson Schlitz from the Faucet of Hope.